quite interested in the tech space and exploring what's out there, really. So that's why I'm on this call today.
Cool, thanks. Pick. Do you want to pick who's next?
Oh, sure. Has Andrew spoken?
No.
Yep. So Andrew.
Andra.
She's kind of frozen.
All right.
Okay, let's go with someone else.
Sanjeev there.
Sanjeev, you're muted, by the way. Let me unmute you. I think Zoom's struggling with us. Literally, I'm clicking on unmute and it does nothing.
I know we said that we want it to feel as close as possible to an in-person meetup. I don't think this is what happens in in-person meetups.
Well, Emil seems unmuted, so.
Yeah. Someone tell us who you are.
Yeah. Anybody.
Yeah. Andra, Ashik, Sanjeev, any of you?
Doesn't seem to be working.
Sorry?
Yeah.
No, I just said it doesn't seem to be working.
Okay.
Okay, good. Christopher Morgan, do you want to introduce yourself? I think you joined a bit later. So for those of you who have been joining, we're just spending 5 minutes introducing ourselves, and then we're going to get everyone back in the main call, and we'll keep looking at the slides. So Christopher Morgan, Declan, Emil, any of you, do you want to introduce yourselves? No. Okay. So then, good. I can't bother to this is painful. So let's just get everyone back in the main call and let's just go through the slides.
Okay, this is crazy. I think. Oh, I unmuted someone. Hello.
Declan.
Yeah, can you introduce yourself, please?
Yes, I'm Declan, and I finished my applied computer information system, and looking for like a job in tech field.
So what
Thank you.
What have you finished? Sorry, applied information systems.
Applied computer information system.
Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Can I also ask why, might sound weird, but why couldn't we hear you? Was it because Vasil or the host had muted you, or had you just not unmuted yourself?
I was listening to you guys like for this class.
Okay, so because I thought maybe if the host mutes everyone, then people can't unmute themselves. Anyway, okay, let's just get everyone out of the breakout rooms and.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? I think if you are muted by the admin, you can still unmute yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's a button to still unmute yourself.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless I'm mistaken.
I've never realised the amount of time I've spent on Zoom, but I never realised that you can mute everyone. That I wish I'd have known that 5 months ago. Oh boy.
Okay, yeah, let's go.
Hello guys, this is Ashik Ravindran here.
Hi Ashik.
Yeah, I had a problem with my mic. I just sorted it. So I'm basically from India, and I think one of the admin from this group actually reached out to me and seeing me being present in some other group. So I had an opportunity to join this group. I'm really looking forward for that. I used to work as an engineering manager earlier, and mostly moving to London soon. So I would have to find a job there. So
Cool. Thanks, Ashley.
Okay, yeah, I already sent a notice to everyone. So sorry, guys, for all technical issues. I'm bringing back everyone.
So I'll go on mute now.
Oh, wait a sec. So when you close, okay, new functionality. We have 50 seconds. So when you click on Zoom now, it gives you 60 seconds until it closes and bring everyone back.
Yeah, the breakout rooms. Yeah.
Yeah.
They can leave early if they want to. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. I think we'll destroy Zoom today. This is crazy. Awesome.
Okay. I think we lost a couple on the way back. It's bizarre, isn't it? There's no reason why that should happen, but it feels a little bit like sort of Saving Private Ryan or something, doesn't it? Just moving from a breakout room into the main room, we lose some people. Okay, so thank you for introducing yourselves. Hopefully you didn't have as many technical issues as we did in our room, but hopefully you learned a little bit about each other. So today we're going to cover where to start. So you're thinking about a career in tech, you're thinking about becoming a programmer, and you have absolutely no idea where to start. Well, we're going to explain what you need to do to start your journey to becoming a dev. And how do you learn those skills? So we're going to talk about the various different ways that you can learn to code. There are tons of different ways of learning, and we'll talk about sort of our experiences and just have a chat about that. Then we'll talk about coders in hoods, what we are kind of presenting to people as a different option. We're then going to hear from Magdalena. I think I've also got this order wrong, but never mind, it doesn't matter. You'll forget this as soon as we move to the next slide. Then we'll hear from Magdalena about what recruiters want to see from devs. So is it more about your portfolio, or is it more about just the number of languages that you can code in? Or we want to hear from their point of view. They're the ones that actually get you the jobs, so they're pretty important. Okay, so the starting point, or one starting point, is really to think about what type of developer you want to be. And if you have absolutely no clue about the tech industry or what being a developer is, then you won't be able to answer that question. But you should think about the type of work that you want to be doing, the type of thought processes that you want to have when you are working sort of 9 to 5 in your job as a developer. So we're going to talk about just a few of the different sort of pathways you can go down, and the types of things that you'll be working on. Hopefully that can get you to start thinking about what you might want to learn. Mary Shelley, Vasile loves a quote. I don't know why we have a quote from Mary Shelley. I did listen to a podcast about her recently, and she's very interesting. She had if you don't know who Mary Shelley is, she wrote Frankenstein, which was sort of the original Gothic novel. She was the original Goth, and it turns out she had a very tough life, and really you can kind of see how it turned out that she was a Goth. It's very interesting woman. Anyway, also a good book. Frankenstein is a great book. So we're going to talk about a few types of developers: front-end, back-end, mobile development, and machine learning and data science. If you have absolutely no idea what any of that means, hopefully we're going to explain a little bit about all of those. So front-end. I think this is the easiest one to explain to people who don't really know about coding. It's what you see on a website. It's the part that users interact with, and it's a front-end developer. Is someone who builds the functionality of the website. So you click on a button, it pops up with a form. You submit the form. That's the front-end developer who's doing all of that. So generally, a web designer, will give the front-end developer a design of the website, a mock-up, wireframes, lots of as much detail as possible, ideally. They will, the front-end developer will then build the user interface. They'll build the website exactly how it looks in the design that they have been given. And then they'll hook it up, they'll connect it to the API. We'll talk about the API later, but that is pretty much the process for a front-end developer. They get told what something should look like. They then build that using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and then they kind of connect it to the database through an API which has been created by the back-end developer, and we'll talk about that in a minute. So things that a front-end developer might build. So websites, I mean, any website you can think of, a front-end developer has worked on that in some way. Web games, so this is what I do. There's not a huge amount of back-end development in games, but it is certainly still included in the sort of front-end world of things. Web applications, so applications to control smart devices or all sorts of things. So websites and web applications and web game, really, they're all a website these days. But the functionality that you can build into a website is really starting to grow, and it feels much more like what you might consider an app, a mobile app. You can get all of those in a mobile website these days. So these are the types of things that you build, and that is absolutely huge. We've just said websites here. I mean, think about all of the different types of websites out there, and that is such a varied array of work that you might be doing if you're a front-end developer. So these are some of the skills that you need to build front ends. HTML is the skeleton for your page. It determines the structure of your page. CSS and Sass, they determine what your website looks like. So your HTML gives you the skeleton, the CSS and the Sass gives you the skin. I don't know where I'm going with this. And then the bottom row, JavaScript, JS, and the JS framework. This is the muscles and the organs. This is everything that needs to work, needs to do something. We need functionality in the website. So a front-end developer needs to know all of this. So it's quite varied. You'll be making decisions about sort of how much shadow to add on a button, but at the same time, what kind of data structure you need to use when you send data to a database. So it's pretty varied. back-end development next. This is a little harder to sort of explain to people who don't have any experience building websites. You're generally dealing with databases. So you have a server that is exposing some data that you are storing in a database, and the front-end developer will send a request to the back end to say, okay, the user has just changed their password, and the back end receives that request and stores the new password in the database. That's sort of the idea. So anything to do with the database, that's the back end developer. There can be some crossover, certainly, but it's really to do with the database and authentication and all sorts of things. So the process here, you will architect the database. You'll kind of decide the structure of your database, and that's a pretty important part. If the structure of the database isn't right, then the rest of the time that anyone's working on this website, they're gonna have a tough time with it. That will generally be with a sort of product owner who describes all of the functionality that's required. The back end and the front end developers will generally have a conversation. The back end then determines what the database should look like. Then they go and build all that logic to create the data, to create any relationships between certain models. They'll build all of that, and then they expose it. Like I said earlier, they expose some data to as an API. So you don't really need to worry about what an API is right now, but the backend developer creates an API that the front end uses, and that's how the backend and the front end communicate. They use an API. So things that a back-end developer might build, so a terminal application. So if you need something to be automated, if you need some sort of jobs to run on your database intermittently, they might run terminal applications. So infrastructures. So yeah, that's to do with the API layer on. Who's drawing? Is that who's drawing back end? That could be worse. That could be much ruder, but I can live with that. That also explains what this little blue thing down here is. That I didn't really know what that was. Also, architecturing the DB, that's what we spoke about earlier. These are the types of things they work on, and it's all revolves around that database. That's an incredibly important part of a website. So the skills required, you need some kind of language. So of course you're writing code. You need to build your server in some kind of language. Node.js is incredibly popular. It's essentially just JavaScript running on a server. Other languages like Java or C# or there are all sorts of different ways you can build your backends. What type of database you go for? Do you go for a relational SQL database or a NoSQL database, a GraphQL database? All of these are just buzzwords. What type of API you are going to build, REST, SOAP, all sorts of these, again, buzzwords. The security, that's a pretty important part of the back-end developer's job, determining all of the security settings that a server might have and determining which front ends are allowed to do what on your back end. And of course, testing and tools. Testing is incredibly important for the back end, arguably more so than the front end, because you want to make sure that your data is safe and stored correctly. So you need to test pretty thoroughly. This is one of many images that try to represent what the front end and the back end look like. So the front end, to if you were to just wander past this lake, you'd see a nice hamster. I think a hamster in a inflatable duck ring thing. Again, Vasile found this. I don't understand what this creature is. But under the sea, actually, it's all a horrible mess, and it's incredibly powerful, and not at all as it seems on the front end. So mobile development. So we're going to talk, when we talk about skills, we're going to talk about Android, but this is generally talking about mobile apps. So specifically Android or iOS developers. It is, in my opinion, becoming slightly less relevant as web applications become more powerful. But it's still a massive market. People still love native apps, and lots of companies want mobile apps. So for Android, you need to learn the language, Java or Kotlin, generally Java or Kotlin. Again, there are more options than that. Android Studio, so you need to get pretty comfortable with using Android Studio. App components, user interface, you're dealing, again, you could kind of be given designs by a designer, but mobile developers really do kind of benefit from having a pretty deep understanding of mobile user experiences. Storage, you're probably going to be reading and writing from the device's storage, and that can be a bit slow. So you need to, sorry, people are asking questions. We can develop native with JS, right? Florin, yeah, sort of. We sort of can. React Native, it's not really JavaScript, but it kind of, we sort of can. But it's much, there are pros and cons of building native apps versus building kind of web native apps. And like I said, I think native apps are kind of going to disappear for the vast majority of apps anyway. Machine learning and data science, this is a growing field. This is working with big data, analyzing that data. So writing code, again, you're going to write code, but you're taking just raw data. You are running analysis on that data to try to figure out some sort of conclusion to be drawn from the data that then a business could reflect upon and make changes. That's essentially, in a nutshell, what a data scientist might do. This, you need a lot of maths and statistics knowledge. It's less about the coding and more about the kind of the mathematical analysis. You will need to code, but generally it's R or Python. You can do data science in any language, but these are kind of, for some reason, these are just popular with data scientists. Data manipulation, of course, data visualization. So again, you need a pretty good understanding of maths and statistics, but also a pretty good understanding of how to visualize quite complicated topics in a very simple way. So it's all of these roles. I think a lot of people see programming as very sort of logical and very rule focused, but actually it's way more creative. The job that you're doing, writing code, is creative, but also you're probably doing something visual. You're probably going to be making kind of visual decisions on a pretty regular basis. So it's much more creative than you think. Okay, another 5-minute breakout room session. We'll see how this one goes, and if this one doesn't go particularly well, like the previous one didn't, then maybe we might skip future ones. But we want you to come up with one question to ask about these roles that we've just spoken about. So we want to encourage you to ask questions. One question from each group. Ask me, Vasil, or Magdalena about anything you have about what we just spoke about. So 5 minutes, discuss, come up with a question, and I forgot to say this: the best questions will get hoodies. We'll be giving out hoodies at the end. So the best questions, and that's entirely subjective. So if you want to ask me about pizza or Tottenham Hotspur, then I think I'll just give you a hoodie without listening to the rest of your question. So I'm up for being bribed, but we're going to put you into breakout rooms now. Come up with a question about front end, back end, mobile development, machine learning, or anything else.
Yeah, so this is 5 minutes room, and give me please a second. I'll relocate. So reduce. See ya. Poor Zoom. Okay. Give me a second. Give me a second, please. Yeah, you need to click to move yourself, I think. Okay. Emil, Oxy, Sanjeev, you probably need to move to the group. Do you have any notification about that? Oh, right, sorry, my bad. Yeah, you can unmute yourself. Chandi? Oh. Are you here? No? We can't hear you. Okay.
It sounds like a fridge.
Yeah. Crazy. To be honest, I expected more from Zoom because we normally use Zoom every day, and it is okay for our reasons. But I think that we have just smaller rooms for like 8 people or something. And yeah.
I think it's worked. Yeah, I think it's just annoying that people have to accept to go to a breakout room.
Really? Do they need to accept? Because interesting.
Well, why have Emil and Sanjeev not gone to the breakout room? I don't understand that.
Okay. Yeah. Meh. Okay. Yeah, so I'll click Christopher. It's time to move everyone back.
Okay.
Woo-hoo-hoo.
Okay, we're up to 34 now. So hang on, how do we get more people? I don't know.
We lose. I think we lose 2. Was
Oh,
certain.
did we? Oh, I thought we're gaining people. It's a fun game. Okay, so each group, we wanted one question from each group, and there is a hoodie on the line for you. So who has any questions about the different roles in the industry?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Jemima.
Hi, Jemima.
I was in a group with Michaela. Yeah, with Michaela. And okay, she's on now. So yeah, so one of the things that we were wondering about was just kind of where to start. Like what I was thinking kind of from more a front end perspective, like what resources are, would be good to use, or what would you suggest? What languages would be best, to start off with? we talked about how boot camps are an option, but they can be quite expensive. So how does one kind of dip their toes in to explore what's available and to see if it's something that you want to do? I don't know, Michaela, did you have anything else to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think you've covered it all really. Yeah, mainly what languages are best places to start. Yeah, and like you said, dipping your toes in without, not that you don't want to fully commit, but you know, with everything else that's happening in life, it's quite difficult to fully commit if you're not sure if it's definitely for you or not.
Yeah, good. Really, really good question. And it's so good, in fact, that that's what we'll be talking about next. So the next sort of 20 minutes or so, we'll be talking about the various different options and resources that you have out there to kind of make those first few steps. As for languages, again, we'll talk about that later, but really, if you want to work in front end, it's JavaScript and CSS. You need to make a website do something, and you need to make it look good. JavaScript is to make it do something, and CSS is to make it look good. So that's really what you are going to need to be a front end dev. And we'll talk about kind of how you can dip your toes in, how you can start thinking about it, and what resources you have out there. We'll talk about that next. Thanks.
Actually, this is a music for my ears when I hear that somebody wants to become a front-end developer.
So, Christopher, Florian first.
Why is that? Sorry,
Basile, why is that?
Because I'm a front-end developer. And this is the only one bright side of programming.
Vasile doesn't enjoy back end or anything other than making things look nice.
I'm still undecided. I thought I was going to enjoy front end more, but I don't know. I find CSS really annoying to learn.
Yeah.
Really annoying.
Same here.
Absolutely. I think that's certainly one thing that people kind of realize after making their first few steps. You kind of think a lot of people always think that they will prefer front end because it's sort of visual, and I'm a visual person, and really the reality is actually you kind of go, oh, well, I've just spent 3 hours iterating over an array, and I found that much more enjoyable than making a button red. So it's one of those things that it kind of creeps up on you when you realize, oh, actually I kind of think I will prefer back end stuff. So I think if you're starting out completely, I think just don't rule anything out. I think expose yourself to all possibilities. And so that kind of leads me on to Florin's question: what's the best role to get as a junior, front end or full stack? Really, I think you kind of want a broad knowledge base when you're starting out, and then you can make the decision that you want to focus more on sort of front or back end or full stack. So I think full stack is certainly the best route to go down when you're starting from nothing. You'll just get exposed to everything, and even if you spend, I don't know, 3 months working on learning to code, and half of that is front end stuff, half of that is back end stuff, and you decide, oh, I'm only gonna go into back end, I'm only going to go into front end, that's absolutely not wasted time. That's all still really valuable. So don't discount anything. Basically, any time spent coding or even watching videos about code, even if it goes over your head, all of that is really good, really useful. So I wouldn't limit yourself. I would say aim for sort of full stack, aim to get exposure with both the front and the back end.
I've got a question following up on that.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. So I've actually, for a few months now, I wanted to get an internship as a front-end developer. So I've learned CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. And right now I've been trying to apply for some internships. But based on the requirements, it's quite tricky because the requirements aren't just HTML, CSS, JavaScript. There's a lot of languages they expect you to learn and a lot of programs they expect you to learn. So I guess my question is, should you apply for them anyways, or do you have to explore all those areas that they're asking for? Even unpaid internships are asking for some crazy requirements.
Yeah, I think possibly Magdalena will be able to speak about this with a bit more authority than me. But on the question, should you apply, you're not really going to lose anything by getting turned down. You're not going to lose anything by applying and not getting the job. So always apply. That's easier said than done. I hate it, and I understand if you would hate it too, but always apply. You might as well. And
yes, sorry if I can interrupt you for a second. I definitely would say to apply and don't be scared about the job specs, because they sometimes are written horrendously and they're terrible, and every job spec depends on different company. But at the same time, it's a junior role, it's an unpaid internship, so the recruiter gonna look at how the person stands out from the crowd. They're not gonna look as much on, okay, if the person ticks off all of the boxes, but is that someone that we are able to teach and train to the position that we, that the person is going to be self-sufficient and actually grow into junior engineer. So I'm going to cover that a little bit in a few moments. So just don't be worried and apply in a short answer.
so Christopher Morgan says, how much weight does self-taught courses hold when going up against structured learning? Is it a significant disadvantage when trying to break into the industry? Again, I think we'll talk about this later when we kind of weigh up all the different options. And ultimately, there is no real difference. If you can prove that you know what you're doing, and that means having projects on GitHub, if you have code that people can look at, then that's really all you need. Someone's going to see your projects on GitHub or whatever website you want to use, see, okay, yeah, they can build stuff. They'll send you a technical test, and if you can't do the technical test, then fine, that job wasn't for you. That's not the end of the world. But if you can do the technical test, then it doesn't really matter your journey up until that point. So there are pros and cons of both. So it's not that self-taught is better or worse. Okay, Loosely Alex. I feel like that is Loosely is Alex's surname. Anyway,
you're right.
Okay. How much level of coding capability do you need for a technical interview, even an internship? We can self-teach to a point, but eventually need to further develop from actual development work. Yeah, that's a good question. Well, for a technical interview, it depends on the technical interview, really. I have spoken to a lot of people who say that it turned out that they got the job because of their attitude in the technical interview rather than their ability. And I think that is a pretty massive kind of mindset change that you go through. It takes years to go through that and realize that it's not really about ability. It sounds bizarre, but it's not really about sort of how much programming you know like, because you could still be, I don't know, an unpleasant person to work with. You could still actually kind of pick things up slowly and be less inquisitive than someone else. And actually, those are all way more important than just knowing more stuff about code. So it's a difficult one, but again, it's about GitHub. It's about proving that, okay, I built a thing, even if it's just like a little trivia quiz game on a website that's on GitHub. You just want to build something that kind of demonstrates that you can code. So, and then, like I said, if you can't do the technical interview, then that company and that role and that position just wasn't for you. That's fine. But yeah, technical interviews come in all shapes and sizes. I've seen some incredibly hard ones, and I've seen some incredibly straightforward ones. Okay, Conrad, what's the most valuable thing to put on a CV? That's absolutely one for Magdalena. To attract recruiters for a junior developer job with no prior commercial experience. Yeah, Magdalena, do you want to take that one?
Yeah, 100%. And I just don't know if we want to go through those questions now, or maybe just give me a chance to go through my stuff and then go back to
I'm wondering if we maybe kind of call the questions a day here, and because we will be covering some of these things in the next section and then in Magdalena's section. So yeah, Amanda, do tech companies ever accept volunteers? Personally, I would only volunteer at a tech company if it's actually a charity. Don't work for free. It's literally illegal, and I'm amazed that companies do it. Don't take unpaid internships. Maybe Magdalena's going to say different, but it's literally illegal. So don't ever do it, in my opinion. Within the tech world, what would you say the best role that's enjoyable? Founder, and then selling your company so you don't have to work again. I think that is the best role in the tech world. Okay, let's move on. And I'm going to hand over to Vasil. I forgot this was Vasil's section. So Vasil, do you want to introduce yourself and take it away with the next section? We've lost Vasil. We've even lost Vasil. Oh God.
Sorry.
Okay.
So, yeah. I will share my screen, right? For now. So yeah, that will stop screen sharing for Sam. Probably wrong button. Freeze that. So hi, yeah, my name is Vasil again, and I'm a founder of Coders and Hoots, and a front-end developer at Coyote, thanks to Magdalena. So yeah, I've spent in Coyote for eight months. Before that, I used to work as a head of development in a Unipro. Before that, I used to work as an instructor in Flatiron, and a few more front-end positions before that. And yeah, so I started this community because I think that the path that you need to go through to get your first job can be more pleasant for you, and you shouldn't struggle as I did. Yeah, so for those who haven't heard yet, I transitioned from law and corporate law to programming. Yeah, that was my path. That was fun and painful. Yeah, so let's actually talk about your options that you have to learn programming. And when I was thinking about that, I literally found like 3 options for me. So CS program in any university, online courses, and boot camps. And for universities, we will go through each and basically look for pros and cons from my experience, based on my experience and what I saw and what I've basically from other students that I had before and their experiences. So for universities, you will learn a lot of theory, and you will get very strong, I would say, theoretical skills in programming, computer science, some algorithm, like very low levels and very complex algorithms. You will learn how to solve them there. So this is very good thing, because online courses, boot camps, they just don't have time to cover that. And this is like an extra benefit that you will get from universities. You'll cover a wide range of subjects, which is great because you're still a human and you want to build your personality and expand your knowledge about this world. So this is also great. And you will get wide range of basic knowledge because you're covering wide range of topics. You have everything in every subject. You will have a little of skills, a little of knowledge that you can theoretically start to expand them and improve them and basically work in that subject as a professional and find your job. Cons, 3 years of your life. And for me, even if I really enjoy 6 years I spent in law faculty, because I really like that, but still it was 6 years and now I'm doing completely different thing. It is expensive because you need to pay for living, you need to pay for the course, and this is just expensive. Universities, they more focus on like these fundamental skills and fundamental knowledge for each subject. You don't have enough practical skills. And this is a real case actually, because I know one person who joined our courses before because he was on computer science course and they just don't have enough practice. And he told me that he learned with us during 2 months more than he learned for last 2 years on computer science. So this is a problem, and subjects often outdated. This is a real case because for them, because of their bureaucracy, etc., it's very hard to update and keep updated their programs. So this is a pain point, and I think that they can be more flexible on that, but this is what we have nowadays. Online. So online are great because they are cheap, right? So you can find even free courses like Free Code Camp. They are free, they have a lot of exercises, etc. You can find programs like Udemy, where you can buy a wide range of courses, and this is easy because you can pick whatever you want, and this is another pro because you can build and customize your kind of the end course, and that can be very flexible for you because you can pick, okay, I want to learn like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and I want to learn Angular or Vue or React. So you don't have that kind of bundle, you build in it. So this is very helpful. Remote is great because especially for people who is working and changing their career. So there is no time just to jump from their life and for a few months and just spend these 4 or 5 months or a year or 2, depends on whatever path you'll pick. So remote is great. Can do on your time, same thing, and can as I just said, you configuring your bundle and you can decide what you want to learn. Some platforms like Udacity, they have they charge, I think they have like a nano degree, but they charge you around 1,500 or something. In dollars is like 2K, but they have like a basically the course, they provide the course for you, and it's already structured a bit, and you have like 1 hour support from instructors per week. So you have like a one-to-one call with instructor where you can once a week, when you can have ask any question about the exercises you've done during the week. So yeah, cons. You don't know where to start and what to learn. This is what I found for myself. This is the most tricky part, because like, okay, I want to be a front-end developer, but what I'm supposed to know? And as somebody mentioned already, when you open job descriptions, sometimes they ask so many things, and you're looking for internship or like junior position, and you think like, are you sure that you're looking for junior? So this is a point where you can be lost. And yeah, so this is one problem with online courses. No support from professionals. This is a big thing, because I know, again, by myself, that when you start learning programming, it's very easy just to give up, because you're stuck on some point. You have nobody to ask, because every single friend is non-tech person. They just also doesn't know how to program, and for you is like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? And you start Googling something, and you go to Stack Overflow, where everybody is so rude, and this is crazy about Stack Overflow, because their concept, the original concept, is to help everyone, but now they're just fighting for points and don't care about actual people. Because I'm a beginner, I'm going to Stack Overflow. I remember my experience. I probably went to Stack Overflow twice. I've asked questions twice on the very beginning of my career. 2 responses was like, come on, this is a stupid question. Go and read documentation. Like, why you exist? Just shut your platform. But yeah, anyway, so it's because you don't have support, it's very easy to give up and basically do not start your career. Next thing is material is not structured. Again, this is kind of related to the first point, because you still don't know how to bundle everything and know what to learn and where to go. Easy to give up, as I already mentioned, because you have a slow progress, you're busy, and I know by myself, and I bet that every single person is the same, that when you're stuck on something and you're exhausted about after work, you just don't want to work hard. You just lose focus, go to Facebook, Instagram, talk with your family, talk with your friends, and you just keep losing the time that basically you can invest into your future career. And frustration and procrastination is your friends. They are best friends on that with online courses. Again, because of the same reason. And because the programming, when you're starting, you need to become a programmer and developer, you need to kind of change the way you're thinking. And that change is very painful. It's not, to be honest, it's not about just like learn a language. It's about change the way you structure information in your brain, and like how to basically the flow of the thinking of your ideas, and like how to destructure every single bit. So this is the pain point. And I know that some like in boot camps, you have like sessions to share your experience, like every 2 weeks, every week, or whatever, just to share and like find a shoulder to cry, basically. Because this is the experience for everyone, and this is the way how you get into that to become a developer. So yes, and this is crazy stats. So almost 80%, they just dropping out of online classes because it's hard. There is self-motivation is a big thing. And yeah, so this is crazy. Traditional boot camps. So for me, I think for programming is a good path to go to the boot camp. So you have professional and instructor, you have instructor support, so you can easily get an answer and explanation. It's not just about answer like how to solve this. It's about explanation why. And is it, because sometimes I found from my students, when they come to me and asking about one question, the real problem actually is another thing. And you start talking about another thing and where it comes from and explaining all of these things. So this is a big benefit of any bootcamp. So progress. So because bootcamps, they are like try to condense everything in a short period of time. They forcing you to work and move faster and faster. But this is a good thing. It can be I mean, it is stressful, but this is a good thing for you because you will spend these 4 months and you will get all you need and go to the market to look for a job. And you will have all these skills to get the junior position. So yeah, material is structured. So you definitely know that, okay, I'm going to that bootcamp. They will teach me, if it's a full stack or front end or back end, they will teach me everything that I need to get this job. So you don't need to worry about, is it a good, have I learned enough? Is it the right thing that I'm learning now, etc. And I can imagine the problem when you spend your effort and time to learn something, and after 2 months, somebody come to you and say, oh, actually, this is, nobody used jQuery, for example, now. And like, so yeah, this is that, again, materials is structured is a good thing. You collaborate with other students. This is another thing for motivation, because when you're sitting at home and have nobody else with the same problems, you think that you are dumb, you can't handle it, this is just for smart people, and you are not, etc. But the problem is that every single person on this path thinking the same things. So you have identical thoughts, and I had the same thoughts when I was starting. And this is a problem. And when you're working in a team, when you're working with other students, you see that you're not alone, you're not dumb. It can't be true that everybody's have the same questions and all of you are dumb, right? It's not true. It just, when you isolated, you think that, okay, I'm probably not good enough. And you, again, this is one more reason to give up and think that, okay, fine, I'll keep what I'm doing now. So this is a problem, and working in teams is great for you, and that motivates you to work harder and do not give up. And career support. So this is a tricky one, actually, because bootcamps like to advertise career support, and some of students might think that, so that means that they will just do everything for me and they give me a job. It's not true. So they help you to write your CVs. They help you to and explain what to do to prepare yourself for interviews. They will tell you to apply for too many jobs, etc. But these kind of conversations are also helpful. So do not expect too much from that, but you need to understand that they're supposed to help, and they're supposed to have these conversations, kind of extra lessons where they talk through all of these bits to help you to start your career. Cons. As you might know, bootcamps are expensive. So in the UK, they start from 7K up to 15K. In States, they go even just wild, because some bootcamps cost 25K for 4 months. This is like, come on, guys. just it can't be. I mean, it shouldn't cost that much. And that was my initial thoughts about coders and who's like tech education shouldn't be that expensive, because I used to work so I was a student in bootcamp. I used to work as an instructor in a bootcamp, and I know that that shouldn't cost that much. So yeah, they are expensive. They don't always teach you to teach everything you need. So I used to work in 2 bootcamps, before we like started our community and Coders and Hoods. And I would say that not every bootcamp is good. Some bootcamps, they just charge you and don't teach enough, and they just don't care about what they are teaching and how everything is organized, the management. So that might be true if you go to, so you need to be careful when you pick in a school, because people need to care about you, not just about making money on this school. So yeah, bootcamp with good instructors might be far. So it depends on, so if you're in London, this is probably not a problem because this is London. But if you're somewhere else, if you're in smaller cities or towns, you might not have an access. And if you want to get to tech career, you can try online courses. You can move to, let's say, big city where you have boot camps. And that might be, again, one more thing that can stop you to start your tech career. Support, again, this is limited. So you have limited support because this is if in a boot camp, you have like 8 hours per day, right? 5 days a week. It's like a full-time boot camp. For online, part-time boot camps, you have sometimes, and this is based on my experience, they give you just the time during the lesson. So you have like 4 hours per week. So you're paying like 8K, but you have 4 hours per week that you can ask question from the instructor. And the other time, they don't have Slack group, they don't have anything. So you basically one-on-one with you again. But they charging you, this is for the part-time courses, boot camps. For full-time, you have this five days and working hours. Sometimes some boot camps, they have instructors without experience. So they are hiring their grads to teach you how to program and how to be a developer. And for me, to be honest, I don't really understand that, because if you don't know real problems, real questions that you will, let's say tasks that you have on daily basis in real world, how you can teach someone? Yeah, you will go back to the theory. So you'll teach in just a theoretical things, because you learned, you built something like in playground, and you just go in and teaching the same without any like solid background, tech background, and that might be a problem as well. And some bootcamps, this is one more number for expensiveness. Some bootcamps, they have like a loan programs, and in the end, you'll pay up to 200% from initial price. So I know that in States and even here, they provide you like hey, you don't need to pay nothing on the upfront, but when you get a job, you'll pay like 200%, and from your 15K per bootcamp, you'll pay 30K in the end, which is crazy. And in States, it's like up to 50K, which is just, it's not right. It's just not right. So yeah, this is your options. Now we have a break again for questions, and then Magdalena will talk about tech careers. So let me split all of you to groups. Sorry, too many screens. Come on, where's my Zoom? Sorry, where's the Zoom? Stop sharing, right. So now I have my Zoom. Relocate. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, we're all back, I think. I'll share my screen again. Actually, no, I won't share my screen so we can see everyone's faces. So, does anyone have any questions on what Vasil just spoke about? So the different options that you have. Sukai says, could you recommend good boot camps for all the roles mentioned in previous talk? Well, so for full stack in London, and so by the way, I don't think we really covered full stack. Full stack basically means a combination of front end and back end. I know we spoke about those separately, but full stack means you're kind of doing a bit of everything. For full stack in London, General Assembly, Llewellyn, Flatiron, Makers. These are the kind of big names that get talked about a lot. They do come with the pros and cons that Vasil spoke about. They are relatively expensive. For machine learning and data science, again, Flatiron do a data science course. I don't know any other boot camps that do data science, but I'm sure there are others. Yes, someone wants to say general assembly, what else did I say? Llewellyn. And I know there are more. They're the only ones that I can think of. Before I started working at Flatiron, I didn't know that boot camps were a thing. I'd never heard of the idea. So I actually don't know too many off the top of my head. Mark says, if you can't afford boot camps, what's the next best thing? How do you stay on the right track without that structured support, learning community, and recruitment network? Well, yeah, you kind of it's tricky. You want kind of all the pros of everything, and ideally you kind of stay engaged with a group like us, like Coders in Hoods. Vasil's going to talk about Coders in Hoods and how you can kind of get involved at the end. So join sort of Slack groups, join Discord groups for people who are all learning to code. It really does help just having other people in the same situation. So if you make the decision that you want to learn using free code camp or free online resources, try to seek out other people who are in the same boat and join some sort of online group or discussion board or whatever, where you can all post questions, you can all ask. Conrad says Facebook groups. Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm sure there are tons of Facebook groups of people learning to code. Like Vasil said, posting on Stack Overflow is sort of scary and daunting. You've got all these people with tons of experience, and they're not always the nicest comments. So you want other people who are in the same situation. Okay, I'm not going to take any more questions because I'm aware of the time. So I'm going to hand over to Magdalena to talk about all of this from a recruiter's perspective, what a recruiter is looking for in a junior. So Magdalena, over to you. Oh, you're muted. Seal, maybe you need to, or am I? Sorry, I don't know. I don't know if I can not. If it's me.
I think Magdalena, you can unmute yourself for sure.
Yeah, you're not muted because we
not
have a little thing, but we can't hear you.
Try again. No, this is just your microphone.
Oh no.
See, world needs more developers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, she'll probably rejoin.
So while waiting for Magdalena, does anyone have any other questions? I think
No, sorry.
Ah, yes.
Hear me now? Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Good old school refresh button always works. Okay, thank you. Sorry guys for that. As you can see, always technical difficulties. Thank you for having me, and I will try to cover a little bit from a recruitment point of view and tell you a couple of maybe like a small points, couple of advice that I can give you from my point of view. But at the same time, remember that I'm just a messenger. Don't kill me, because everything what I will say might sounds from one side a bit too straightforward, or a bit too easy, or just too simple. But in the end of the day, getting into a new job, it doesn't matter if that's tech job or it's a sales job or whatever you want to do. Change is a change, and change is going to require a couple of different steps from you, and certain mindset that you have to have in order to get a new position. And in the same time, let me just share my screen. One second. Share. Okay, can you see my presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So again, it's just about the mindset of changing careers or getting into a new position. And you know, guys were talking a lot about tech stack and how job specs are sometimes, you know, overdone with so many different technical terms. But in the end of the day, it's gonna be about your base. So first of all, stay with the technology on the beginning. So yeah, I know that both Sam and Vasil were talking about getting that diversity of different different tech stack. But when you decide, okay, I want to be a front end developer, or I want to be a back end developer, don't jump from one to another. Just stay with one. Or if you want to specialize with JavaScript, just stay with JavaScript. If you want to specialize with Python, just gain as much experience in that Python as possible. Don't do then Java or something else, because then from the recruitment point of view, you just have eggs in every basket. And to get your first or second job, you have to show that you've got actual experience, and not just that you listed everything possible there on your CV, because that's one of the biggest problem in terms of CVs, to be honest, is that as engineers put every possible skill on the CV just for the sake of it. Put there on what you are actually working on, what you want to specialize on, and what you like to be seen. Then the second point, you know, a good grade is always more welcome. And I was saying that on one of the breakout groups, that unfortunately still university gonna have higher position than boot camps at the moment. But then you can level that up with your actual skills. So what I mean about this is, okay, going at university, you're gaining a knowledge from broad computer science for 3 years, and on the boot camps you've got 4 months. So there is that volume of knowledge you're gonna get. And from the point of from hiring managers, you know, they most of them graduate university, and you know, they still think that's the best way to go for. And I used to work, I had the experience of working with different hiring managers that they straightforward say to me that you know, I want just to graduate from Oxbridge, and that was their requirement. Which is very unfortunate, but we still, you know, it is what it is, and sometimes we cannot jump that. But then in the same time, having a boot camp and then showing that you guys have a great skill. So having that portfolio, that GitHub, as you can see in the next point, somewhere that you can showcase your skills, then you can definitely overtake that university graduate, because you can show that hiring manager that, okay, I just did a boot camp, but I can, you know, do this projects, I can create this, and this candidate can't. So you have to be aware of your position and of your starting point, and where you, when you can be in that race. So with all of that, all of those, you know, free stuff definitely helps. But what I mean over here is that, as some say, is not take a voluntary job, unpaid jobs or something like that. Don't do that unless, again, it's a charity, or it's a meetup group, or it's a, you know, maybe coding bootcamp that you help and you learn on the way as well. And it's just something that you do part-time to get more experience, more and more experience. So again, be involved. And then in terms of skills for a specific company, that might be something helpful. If you're gonna find a position that you really want, or you're interested in a company, try to showcase that in your application. So if you apply for a company that does, I don't know, machine learning, for example, or AI stuff, and you can show that your project is about Alexa doing something, or you know, mobile application that connects with Alexa somehow or whatever, then definitely showcase that, or tell that to a recruiter that can be helpful in that. That's, you know, that's basically in line with what the company is doing. So do your job, do your due diligence, and do your research about the companies you're applying for, to be able to then carry on the conversation about how your skills can help that company. That's just a quick slide about you know, number of software developers, and I don't want to scare you out over here, but we need to manage expectations. So, you know, in 2019 there were 26.4 million software developers in the world. So now you have to take your position a little bit into perspective. And again, don't be scared of it, because at the same time there's a lot of position, but there is a lot of people gaining those skills and having those skills already. Be patient, and that's going to be my point in a second. But technical normal recruiting process is very straightforward. So you're always going to have a recruitment screening call. So someone like me, from internal point of view, will give you a call. So there are two options. So there are two types of recruiters that you can get engaged with. One are in-house recruiters, and one are agency recruiters. In-house recruiter technically is already a step ahead of agency recruiter, because they work for a specific company, they have a job to fill in, and they're looking for a specific person. So that's already a step closer to the hiring manager. But then, in the same time, don't cross agency recruiters, which, you know, it's funny statement from in-house point of view, but they could be useful. They have a lot of contacts, then they might, you know, find a good position for you. They're gonna get to know you a little bit better, know what you're looking for, and then with time, even if they're not gonna give you a first job, then maybe with time they're gonna give you a third or fourth position, because you kept in touch with them. Plus, they're always good contacts to be with. It's always good to have them in your network, because they know hiring managers, they know in-house recruiters. So then with time, that could be useful. With recruiters on the call, remember to, recruiter is not a technical person. They're not going to ask you too many difficult questions about your skills, but they want you to talk to them about your projects. So that's also kind of a test for you to know how to engage with different stakeholders, because a lot of times stakeholders are not technical. So you're gonna get to practice that, ability to talk about your projects to not technical people, and being able to explain what you did and what you enjoyed the most. But recruitment screening call basically means that recruiter look at your CV and there was something that stood up or something that matched to them, and they are interested in pushing you forward to hiring manager. So what they want to basically, if in-house recruiter calls you, it's because they want to put you forward to speak with the manager, but they just check in if you've got good communication skills, if you are ambitious, if you can talk over the phone and keep the conversation. Just to show that, okay, you are interested in the job as well, and you're passionate about what you're doing. If you're gonna just have a chat with a recruiter and not really engaged in conversation, or be rude, or be not really interested, then recruiter is not gonna push you forward. Then we're having a call with a hiring manager that basically want to check himself or herself if recruiter was right, go for that CV, talk about those technical stuff. So they're gonna ask you more in-depth questions and decide, okay, if that person has what it takes to actually come down to the company. And then that face-to-face interview, probably in those days video call, is about checking if those skills that you put on paper, if they match up to the reality. And okay, you guys had a couple of questions about technical tests. For a junior position, they normally not like take home tests. It's more sitting down with manager and talking over again what you did in the past, what projects you did, how you solved some problems. So it's not very it's not like an hour sit down test on the computer. It's more, okay, well, everything depends on the company, but it's more to showcase that, okay, you know your basis, and you have that ability to grow from there, and that you will be teachable to get to that company and learn quickly to get to the next stage. So if you applying for junior role, the goal is to get to the company and stay there long enough to be able to become a more experienced engineer. And that's what the company is looking for, to develop someone. It's not just recruiting someone for junior role for sake of it, but basically they want to solve their future problem. So their future problem in a 6 months down the line, or in a year down the line, they know that they're gonna need someone more experienced. So they want to train that person themselves, and that's the goal. And then in terms of how long the process is, it all depends on the company, and it could vary from literally from a week to a month. I think my shortest turnaround was literally in a couple of days, but it could take a month, depends on how busy people are and how many candidates there is, and how busy hiring managers are there. So as I showed you before, there's a lot of developers out there, and but there's also a lot of jobs. So don't panic, but understand the volume. So in the same time, to show that from a little bit different perspective, if some of you have been on a bootcamp before or graduate from computer science, think about how many people were in your class. Then if there was 20-30 people in your class, how many groups there were. If we're talking just about one bootcamp, we already say that 5 different names, 5 different bootcamps with 30 people per class, doing bootcamps 4 times a year. So there's number of people is growing and growing, and all of those, they want to get those jobs. So understand that there is a lot of people out there, but in the same time, understand that the hiring manager is not the only job for them to recruit. So they do their day-to-day job, and they need to squeeze in that hour or 2 hours to get those face-to-face interviews. So, you know, just be patient and understand that you are not the only one up there that is waiting for something. And in the same time, you can be proactive, so you can ask questions, you can send questions to recruiter in the meantime. You can have references prepared, and I you know, if you didn't work in development before, it doesn't matter. You can have references from your previous employees to, you know, and tell them that you're looking for a development job, and make sure that they're gonna write that reference in according to that. You can have a reference from, you know, your teacher from boot camp, or your teacher from from university, from the community you know, you're working with, or from the coders in hood, from whoever that can vouch for you that you can be good fit for that position. In the meantime, you can, you know, if you've got a specific company and you're just waiting for an offer, for example, you can follow them on social media. Definitely connect with those hiring managers on LinkedIn. Show that you are there, show that you're watching them, that you learning about the position, learning about the company, because you want to work with them. And a couple of things that, you know, might sound trivial or just very simple, but in the same time, you know, with my recruitment career, I learned that simple things are sometimes the hardest for people to understand and to remember. So a couple of do's and don'ts, and again, you know, I'm gonna repeat myself over here to be prepared and be patient. But that's how it is for every new job that you wanna get. And then just one thing about those CVs that you guys were asking before, how to make sure you stand out from the crowd and that your CV stand out up there. So make sure you're putting that effort in. So you can easily just download your LinkedIn profile to PDF and have that as a CV, and then it's done. Or you can actually, work on it. I saw CVs in the form of, almost a computer game before, where you have to manage for the screen to see different experience. I saw CVs that, that definitely, that there is that effort in, that there is not just a simple 5-minute job in Word and putting stuff together, but you actually want to showcase those skills a bit differently, that you have that GitHub. If you're trying to get UI on UX job, that you have, some other portfolio and you're getting them something in, that you're not just graduate and that's it. And I need to say, which it's very hard to understand, but when I had experience with graduates, a lot of times it kind of like taking it for granted, and I'm like, okay, I graduate now, I'm own the job, and of course that's a lot of times people from university though, but there is that kind of mentality that has to be changed. You got a degree, you finish your bootcamp, but now the work has to be done. Now you have to prove yourself, and nothing is owned. No one owes you anything, so you have to work for it. And that starts from your CV, and that goes through, from how you interact with recruiters, how you interact with hiring managers, and how you badly want the job. So again, don't take an interview for granted and dress and act the part. And that's, as simple as it sounds, but if you're looking for your first job and you're gonna come in just in a unwashed t-shirt, you're not gonna get it. So just make sure you're dressing and act the part as well. And don't think that recruiters don't like you, or that they, that they are rude people because they didn't give you feedback or anything like that. So again, in terms of the feedback, you technically should get the feedback. You should always get some kind of feedback, but in the same time, sometimes volume of the candidate is so big that you're just gonna get a normal standard email that is sent automatically because recruiter didn't put you forward to the next stage. If that's the, and that's gonna happen unless it's not the last stage of interview. If it was the last stage of interview, you should expect a recruiter to give you a call and explain what happened. But most of the times, if that's just a first call or second call, you're probably not gonna get more than a simple email. So, and remember that it's not personal, it's not about you, it's the business. So I'm sorry that I'm quoting a Godfather over here, but that's how it works. If internal recruit gets hundreds of CVs for one position, again, it's gonna take time to get through it and make sure we're treating every candidate accordingly, that we want to give everyone the same chance. So give us also time to make sure we can do our job correctly. And the last thing is to remember that you cannot say on the beginning that, oh, you're only gonna be good at startups, or you're only gonna work for fintech or whatever. So any first job is good. You can always switch from established company to startup in later on, but you can show that gaining the different experience was valuable for your next position, if that makes sense. And establishing yourself on the market is a marathon, not a sprint, and that's very, very important to remember. But everything to help you doing it, you should catch that opportunity. So being a speaker on the meetups, or being involved in any situation like that is very valuable and important for the future. Taking part in hackathons, taking part in any events can help you out, but again, be patient. And with that as well, remember not to jump from one contract to another, and that's very important. So if you on the beginning, I know that a lot of engineers works on a contract basis, which might change next year with IR35 and stuff, but try not to jump from one contract to another. So as a recruiter, if I will see that someone on the beginning got the first job, worked there for a year, maybe got a promotion, stayed there for another year, and then change, and then someone who had 3 months contract there, 3 months contract there, and 3 months contract there, I will look more positive on the person who stayed in the company. Because then if someone has those 3 months contracts, I don't know if there was just a contract and it ended, or maybe there was just a probation period and someone didn't pass it and then jump ships. So as a recruiter, I want to see that someone can stay somewhere, learn and develop themselves, and then make a mature decision and move forward. And now I'm sure that you guys are gonna have a bunch of questions and you're gonna attack me with a lot of stuff. So please do so.
There are a few in the chat. So Conrad says, where should we look for companies looking for juniors? Because from his experience, it seems to be like a unicorn.
Yeah, well, so first of all, if you are going to boot camps, a lot of boot camps has already relationships with the companies to match their graduates with a position. So that's quite useful. I know that Flatiron School, I think they have a program like that. Also, from computer science degree, there's a lot of universities that they do summer internships, and then they push you, push their graduates to get to certain companies, and they have those relationships. And then, so then there's a couple of options. A lot of big companies gonna have internship program, or they're gonna have some kind of junior dev program, like, you know, if you're gonna look at Sky or Barclays or you know, even Facebook, I'm sure that they have something like that in place. But then at the same time, you can look at this from another angle. You can go, okay, startup, and if there's this, you know, there are startups that they slowly growing and they need someone who can pick up things quickly, but in the same time they know they're not gonna have to pay them 100 grand a year, then they're gonna be happy to bring that person on board. So there's no rule. You know, you just have to think, okay, what is gonna be interested for me and where I want to jump, and then just push forward. You know, that if you want to look for startup jobs, there's a lot of websites like Working Startups or Angel List that you can track different companies and just get in touch with them and just show that you know you've got interest in them, you've got skills, and try to apply.
If you don't have experience at all, are you meant to only apply for junior positions? Because I feel like there are not a lot of junior positions advertised. And some might be, and you just can't recognize it. Are you meant to choose depending on the salary, or?
It's a quite a difficult question. I don't know if I understand it correctly though. Because if you don't have experience, you cannot apply for a senior engineer.
No, but not everything is advertised as junior.
Sure. Okay. Well, it's gonna be advertised as a just software engineer or junior engineer, and then the salary gonna be, you know, up to probably 40K max if it's software engineer.
So up to 40K max is a job that we as students, future tech people should apply for.
Probably, yes.
Also, there's levels of salaries, UK, US. It's so different. You just don't know what to.
Yeah, well, I don't know salaries in the US at the moment. I probably will know in the future because my new company is going to work on the market as well. But to help you out with that, don't like, I know I said before, apply regardlessly, even if you don't think, you know, you're suitable for that position. But in the same time, don't apply for a senior engineer position because you're just not gonna get through it. I know I can see that Conrad says over here that 20, and the guy saying that 25 to 30 is a healthy level, and I agree with that. So definitely, you know, 25 to 30 is something that junior engineer could expect. But if there's no junior in the title and the salary on the job description is up to 40, I would apply for the job just to, if I know my skills, if I know that I can be good candidate, then I will send my CV forward, but have in mind that I'm gonna have to prove myself in that somehow. And then sometimes if I'm a junior and there's no position on a website, I would still send them an email. Like send an email. Like companies, you know, sometimes have summers internships, summer openings, or they're thinking about the budgets or who they can have. And if they don't hiring at the moment, they might hire in 2-3 months time. And if, you know, it's a good recruiter, they will keep that CV in, and they will remember, they get in touch, and then, you know, they will have a conversation about that. So just don't be shy about sending your CV anyway.
And assuming you get a junior position, how long approximately, if you know, it would take you, assuming you perform as expected, to move from a junior to just a developer? How long does it take to?
I would well, I think that could be a question more for Sam or Vasily, but it's all depending on the company and how you're gonna work with your manager. You know, because probably every company evaluate every 6 months what's going on, and every 6 months you'll pass your probation and you'll have your information. Okay, if you're good or not, and then after a year, everyone has evaluation after a year, and you know some companies do have bonuses and some not, and so on. So after a year, you can start having conversation if I can get more salary or if I can, you know, get promotion and stuff like that.
So yeah, I want just to add for that. So it really depends on you and how much effort you put to grow during the period you're already working as a developer. Because for example, for me, like when I just moved to the UK, my wife was in Ukraine. So I have literally nothing to do here besides just learn more stuff when I was working already as a developer. So my weekends, like I woke up, I was learning new stuff whole day, building side projects, like exploring React, play with Vue, build some things on Vue, and every single evening was the same. So, and because you put in like these extra hours, this is basically time that you can do and basically add your days, right? Because you're doing this extra 3 hours every evening and extra 8 hours every weekend. So you just adding this to your experience because you literally invest in that in yourself, and you will grow just faster. And if you just go into to your office and sit there and just pretend that you are working and just without reading, without playing with some new tools, new languages, etc., new things, you'll stuck and you can be junior developer for 3 years, or you can grow from junior to middle in a year, let's say. It depends on your effort, how much effort you put.
Makes sense. Thanks.
Yeah. And yeah, also one more thing is that as Magdalena mentioned already, that if they don't have junior position and you applied, but they really like you, they might create this junior position for you. Because some companies, let's say they are looking for a middle developer, but actually their situation allows them to hire juniors, but they ideally look for a mid developer. But if you apply, they like you, you go through all interviews, and they think that you potential will grow faster, or you will grow and they just like you as a person and you are a good fit into their culture, they will offer you a job and they will not look
100%. Yeah, 100%. I had a situation like that one of my clients were looking for just an engineer, maybe like junior-ish, but a little bit more. And I presented them a candidate that was straight from university, like he was graduating in 2 months' time, so he didn't even graduate yet. Like, well, had his all of his exams done, just waiting for papers and stuff. But his interests were in line with what the company is doing, and his projects at university was exactly what the company profile was, and he was super passionate. And when he went on the interview, he could just talk about this on and on and on. So then they decided to bring him on board because they thought, okay, the guy can straight away, you know, jump to that and learn from them and you know, stay with them.
Yeah, and to be honest, very often it's not just about your. It's often it's always not about just tech skills, but very often it's more about soft skills rather than tech skills.
Yeah, 100%.
You just need to show that you have a great aptitude and you're a great fit for their culture. And tech, yeah, you'll learn because you will do that every day, 8 hours per day. So you'll learn it. But to change your mindset, to change your culture is much harder than just learn new skills. So yeah.
If someone is asking about any good recruitment agencies to finding your job, most of ones I search for only have a fee. And it's an interesting one because if agency has a fee, I would assume that they're gonna find you a job 100%. Okay, I work for agencies for a while as well, and the agencies I work for never had a fee, and I never heard about something like that in UK. Maybe in States is something more common. But I would just there's a lot of recruitment agencies in UK. But if you have to do research, there's a lot of things I can tell you about, and I probably shouldn't name all of the companies and stuff. But if you need to understand that good recruiter are gonna have their specialty. They're gonna have their remit. So if you wanna become a front-end engineer, find a recruiter that specializes on recruiting front-end engineers. If you wanna be a DevOps person, find someone who specializes on DevOps, because they're gonna have clients that recruit for those specific roles. And in those days, agency recruiters, they're gonna have something on their LinkedIn that states that they are a recruitment guru in software engineering, or that they're not gonna name themselves as a tech recruiter, because there is a massive competition as well. So you wanna find one that can back that up, that have good network in that specific remit as well. So again, someone says about meetups up there, and that's definitely a really good way to find a job as well. And because most of the meetups are done by recruitment agencies, because they want to get clients, so they get different companies on board to host the meetup and have the speakers there. So most likely that hosting client have jobs up there as well. So first of all, you can speak with those guys there. You can, find more about their company, but then you can network, and you can network with those recruiters as well. So there's a lot of meetups up there, and a lot of recruiters that can help you out. But you just have to give them a chance as well, because the market is massive, and there's a lot of jobs, but also a lot of recruiters and a lot of juniors. So I just have to be sometimes in the right place in the right time.
I have a question regarding from recruiter perspective. How do you deal with foreigners applying to UK? For example, in my case, I live in Lebanon, and I want to apply to UK. As you know, UK is one of the top countries in the tech domain. Currently, I'm applying at LinkedIn and other platforms, but no one is responding back. So how usually recruiters deal with this? That's it.
Yeah. So yeah, sure. That's a very good question, and there are two things that we need to mention. One is from an internal point of view. If the company I'm working for cannot sponsor, I unfortunately cannot engage with that candidate, because it's not. It's going to be a waste of time. Not every company is able to sponsor. Not every startup is able to sponsor. There are some requirements that a company have to go through, and it's a kind of a lot of money for them to invest for someone to sponsor. So the client has to be able to sponsor, and then if the client is able to sponsor, they have to be willing to do so. So they're gonna be willing to sponsor if the candidate is literally outstanding. If the candidate from that requires visa has ability and skills that we cannot find on the market over here, then they will do so. It's a bit long process, and it takes a while, so it has to be worth a hassle, as hard as it might sound. Unfortunately, it is what it is. So if I am candidate from a foreign country that I require visa to come over here, I need to make sure that my qualities are outstanding that I nailed every job, that I've got fantastic references, that I've got fantastic, experience, and that I can prove myself.
Hi. Does after the boot camp, any placements are provided?
It depends on the boot camps, but most boot camps that I came across, they work with different companies to do placements. It all depends on the boot camp.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah, so let's move to the last quick section because yeah, we're running late, I would say. We're have overtime already. So let me share my screen for this is desktop 2. Thank you. So I just want to basically introduce who is Coders in Hoods and what we are doing, why we are doing, and yeah, basically our main goal. So we started 2 years ago. Now we have more than 3,000 members in our community. We have our Slack group where we have developers, we have people who want to become developers, and they can communicate there and talk to each other and help each other without being rude. So you basically the nice Stack Overflow with direct communication. And yeah, so people are in 20 time zones. So I'm pretty sure that you will find somebody in your time zone and get a response even during the night. Yeah, so sorry. Our main goal is to make software education more affordable because I came from that experience, and I found that we already spoke about that boot camps are very expensive, and if you want to have support, sometimes you can't change your career only because it's too expensive, and you just postpone and delay the moment you want to start, and who knows, maybe it will never happen. So this is our main goal, and we try to combine both worlds, online education and benefits from bootcamp, all this support, instructor support, work in a dedicated pace, to work in a team, etc. So we organize. We basically in our courses we're organizing. So we have basically the structure. We have modules. You work in a team and in a group of students. So you're solving the same problems in the same time. And this is online. So you can be in any place you need to be without commute, without anything. You can join and learn programming. So what do we offer? We are online bootcamp now. So we started from workshops. We still running workshops. We running mini courses, free mini courses for people who want to try themselves and try to learn front end. So we started I started from front end on my spare time. And now we got to the point that people were asking about hey, let's start, can you do a proper course, the full course that I can start and finish? So we decided that, okay, let's do a bootcamp, but we need to make it affordable, not just crazy numbers. And so yeah, we've got to the point when we can do one instructor per 10 students. So you have your dedicated instructor that will run your lessons, that will so will provide you support on any point of time. So you can jump on a video call, you can jump on just a live share, etc. We have our course is 5 months program, cover everything as a full stack developer. You will be ready in 5 months to start your career. Collaborate with other students, as I already said, because you're working in students, you're working in a group projects, etc. Extended support is because we are online. We can respond basically 7 days per week. And this is what our current students have. They write in us messages in the middle of the night on Saturday or on Sunday, and we just responding and helping them. Career support, again, we're running this extra support, and we're running extra lessons and have meetings to talk about how to get a job and prepare you to start your career as a developer. And yeah, pricing is because we're cutting costs from every single, so like from renting any properties and offices to we have a fraction of this price. And you can join from anywhere because this is remote. We will cover HTML, CSS during our course, CSS, JavaScript, algorithms, APIs, and the main framework is React, but we will have some lessons where we talk about Vue.js and Angular. The backend language, we decided to keep Node.js because you basically mastering JavaScript. And as Magdalena mentioned, that this is the best way to train and present yourself, to master one thing and show that you did a lot of things in one language. So that is why we keep Node.js. So you basically doing more JavaScript during the course. Yeah, we will cover the relational databases, just non-relational databases. We have serverless, covering Git, etc. So things like that. And registration is open, as you may guess. So we have the next course, we start in the end of June, and all details you can find on our website, Coders in Hoods. Yeah. Happy to answer any questions if you have. I saw that something was blinking. Sorry.
What about design patterns and algorithm structures?
Sorry, say again?
Are you going also to teach in the bootcamp something related to design patterns?
So Sam probably can answer to that question. But yeah, Sam?
Yeah, so we do teach design patterns. Design patterns are a bit, they're basically intended to ease the pain after people have done things a million times already, and they're getting frustrated with how things work. And so it is tricky to give context for teaching design patterns to beginners, because they don't really know that what they're doing right now, how they're writing right now, is going to trip them up in a couple of weeks' time. But absolutely, we talk about design patterns. React, we follow a specific pattern when we're building React applications. Algorithms, we had a few sessions on algorithms a couple of weeks ago. There's a very wide range of topics that we cover, but we have kind of picked things that we know we actually use on the daily basis in our jobs. So we're not going to get you to write your own bubble sort algorithm. We're not going to get you to write your own kind of compilers and things like that, because really that's not what you do when you make a website. You get a button to say hello. That's genuinely more or less what you do on a daily basis. So we've really kind of picked out what we think people need to know, and if someone can do all of this, then we would absolutely hire them. So that's what we've gone for.
I asked this question because lately all companies are and they are adding design patterns in the requirements, and it's really hard to know all the design patterns and to learn them. Actually, I think it needs a mentor for design patterns.
I think for juniors, it's genuinely not something that you need to know. I mean, your seniors will kind of determine the design patterns that you need to follow, and yeah, your juniors honestly don't need to know stuff like that. That it's so difficult to realize they're good. It takes many years to realize why one design pattern actually is better than another, or you prefer it, or and so for juniors, I wouldn't worry about it too much. And if companies are listing them, then do some research, but be honest and say, look, I don't have a huge amount of experience. I've read about them, but they won't be expecting you to have years of experience with various design patterns. It's literally a junior role if that's what you're applying for. So don't worry about it. Juan says, how would you help overcome the mental blocks that newbies start with, and when it?
Yeah. Sorry, Sam. I just started writing an answer to one questions, because it's actually very, very good question. But I think the most important thing is to, as a junior, as a newbie, first of all, to stay open-minded and have that willingness to learn. And but in the same time, when you first start looking for that new position, believe, as trivial, as cheesy as it sounds, believe in yourself. If you know you've got a strong base, if you know you get out from that education and you get out from that boot camp and you know what you're strong on, then believe in it, and then be able to sell yourself to the recruiter and to the hiring manager. Like, don't talk about things you don't have idea about. Like, if you don't know something, you don't know it. Be honest about that, but also show that you want to learn, that you are okay. That's the reason I want this job, because I have this base, I've got that interest, I've got this passion, I know what you guys are doing, so now teach me. And in a 6 months time, you're gonna have a way better developer on your board. And remember, again, that's what I say on my presentation, it's useful for a company to hire a junior, because if the junior is good and is willing to learn, in a year time they're gonna have a developed engineer. They don't have to spend money on recruiting the person. They're gonna slowly increase their paycheck, but not gonna have to spend as much money as they would pay recruitment fee, or someone for 100 grand salary. So it's useful for them to teach, and in the same time they develop their senior engineers to a management position. So it's not like they don't want to hire juniors. Everyone understands why it's valuable for everyone to have them on board, but you have to believe in your skills, basically, and don't give up.
That's good advice. Yeah, it's much more about the mindset and your attitude than you realize. So yeah, don't give up, and kind of enjoy the struggle. When you're learning something new, it's going to be difficult, but those are the moments that you're really going to learn the most. So that is what I've learned from sort of teaching people to code over the last few years. It's really when you spend hours on a problem, that's genuinely when you grow the most. So don't give up. Okay, we will wrap up, but Vasil is going to announce the winners of the hoodie and t-shirt competitions. So Vasil, do you want to do the honors?
Yeah, so first winner is JK. Second winner is Mihawa. Am I spelled right? Sorry.
I think Michaela. Jemima and Michaela with that first question. And they both get hoodies.
And Mark. This is 3 people. So if you send me, because of coronavirus, we will ship all hoodies to you. And besides that, I just want to share my screen for. Sorry.
She's really pleased that she's getting the hoodies, but
and also, so please send me on Meetup your details, and I'll ship it to you. And we have one more, say, 5 T-shirts that we want to share to send it to you as well. So I put your names here, and randomly, can you see my screen? I don't know. Yeah, can you?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So if I click, so pick another name. Sorry, start. Because yeah, that was the old one. Sorry, guys. And so Andy, give me a second. Let me just write it down. Andy. Pick another. Start. I'm not sure. Is it so? Declan Burns?
Probably just Declan, I imagine.
Declan.
Yeah, Declan Burns.
Okay. Next person. On time.
It's like the lottery.
Foxy. And 2 more. 2 more to go. I think that Sam enjoying more because it's like a game.
Yeah. My old job was making online gambling games, and I mean, this is very, very similar to what I used to make.
And the last one going. Oh
Mark!
No, we can't.
A whole new wardrobe from us.
Yeah. So sorry, Mark. You'll get only hoodie. And I go, come on, that can't be true. Is it some bug? And there. Great. Thank you. So yeah, please send me your details and I'll ship all these freebies to you. Thank you all. I think this is it for today. Hope you enjoyed this evening in this busy period of your life, right? Everyone's life. And yeah, so if you want to know a bit more about us or you have any other questions, feel free to write me a message and I'm happy to respond to all of your messages.
See you, everyone.
Thank you guys for having me.
See ya.
See you later.
Thanks, Magda.
Microphone. Thank you.
Everyone, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.